Hi, and welcome to Redefining Franny, the blog where I explore how I live life on my own terms. My name is Franzani Etienne, and I am your host. Today, we're going to be talking about the four ways that self-awareness made my love at the how I feel like the four ways self-awareness made my love at first sight relationship last 10 years. So, Philippe and I met through a good friend of ours. We're going to call her Cupid. She was going out to see Philippe and hang out. They are good friends. And he was bringing a friend, and you know how it goes. She needed a wingman, so she invited me to come along. And I ended up talking to Philippe and just becoming completely smitten. So I met Philippe on a Sunday, and I was supposed to leave that Tuesday, and I decided that I wanted to stay to get to know him better. I was living in Maryland at the time, and by 6 days later, he told me he loved me. And then a month later, I left everything that had going on in Maryland and moved down to Florida to be with him. And yes, I know this sounds ridiculous. Even when I re-listened to my story, if one of my friends came to me and told me the story in the same vein, I'd probably look at them like they were crazy. Um, and I'm sure they looked at me like I was crazy. They're very open-minded um, to this, but they were, I'm sure they had their thoughts and their judgments. But yeah, so I moved down here, and I remember my dad took me out to dinner when I made the move, and was basically like, "What are you doing?" And I imagine like the response I gave to him sounded a lot like that girl from Enchanted when Dreamy asks her how she can be in love with a guy that she doesn't know, and she was like, "But I know what's in his heart." That's basically about as much as I knew about Philippe when I moved down here. Um, and here we are 10 years later. So these are the four things I feel like I've done over the last 10 years to make our fairy tale relationship remain the fairy tale it started out as. So first and foremost, I'm honest with myself so I can be honest with him. So my first birthday with Philippe was a fail. He came over with a gift and a card, which was very nice. And then he said to me, "Today is your day. We're going to do whatever you want to do." And maybe for some people that would have been so nice and so sweet. But to me, all I heard was, "You didn't plan anything. So I have to think of the whole day." Okay, great. Well, 4 months in, you don't say that to the person you like. But I was committed to making sure that this relationship worked. And I knew that I had to be honest. So first I had to be honest that I was disappointed. I could have guilted myself into not sharing because I knew he was trying so hard and blah, blah, blah. And I knew that he didn't mean to hurt my feelings. But the truth is, I love to celebrate. Celebrations are a huge deal. They're a huge deal in my family. If you, if you know anything about my family, you know that we celebrate hard. We are the party. Um, and I make a big deal out of anyone who will let me, including myself. So even though I knew his intentions were good, and um, I also knew that he'd never get it right if I pretended. So I waited a couple days, figured out how I was going to tell him, and then I let him know how I like to be celebrated. He was really gracious, and I really think that it was, which I attribute to my approach, which brings me to my second thing. I go to bed angry. So honesty does not equal reacting, especially when this girl right here is angry. So I stick to the thumper rule. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And the mean comments when Franny's angry can last a while. I mean, I try, but I know that the first thoughts in my head when I'm angry cannot be trusted and should not leave my lips, so I don't allow them to. I'm so committed to speaking to Philippe in love, and so when I'm angry, I take a step away. I used to do 5 minutes until I read that it really takes 20 minutes for our emotions to kind of like simmer down. So sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's a half hour. But no, this is not the same thing as the silent treatment. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I'm an angel. I definitely sometimes do the silent treatment, but that that is a different thing. That is an unhelpful, not self-aware tactic that doesn't help anyone. In this vein, it takes a lot because if I'm going to put a discussion to the side until I can calm down and talk about it rationally, that means I need to let it go in the moment and be present and be nice in what we're doing in that time. So, yeah, so it's not cold shoulder until I'm ready to talk about it. It's we have to put a pause on this because I have nothing nice to say, and I promise I'll bring it back up when when I'm available and ready to talk about it in a loving manner. And so I have to be responsible for that piece too. So that is number 2. 3, I keep an MVP list. So it's easy for me to recollect the times that either I fucked up or someone else fucked up. And I could tell you some really fun stories along our marriage that, we both fucked up, but that's easy and unhelpful. So I intentionally keep a list of good things in 2 ways. One, I have an app that I use that allows you to use hashtags to like categorize things. And I literally have an MVP hashtag. And my husband's very sweet, sends nice things. So either I screenshot the texts he sent, or I write down something that he said or that he did for me, and I hashtag it MVP. And when I'm super angry and I need to be talked off my anger, I go into that and I read through it. The second way is a daily practice. So I practice gratitude twice a day, and every single time I do a gratitude list, I list one thing from the last 24 hours that Philippe has done that I'm grateful for. So it keeps those good things top of mind. And if we want to continue with pop references, I love when Julia Roberts says in Pretty Woman that the mean things or the negative things are easier to remember. This makes it so the reverse can be true for me. And then number 4 is I don't talk trash, and I always say nice things to other people about Philippe. So those are kind of separate, but kind of the same. I can't tell you, raise your hand, of how many times you sat at a table when someone was like bashing their significant other in a seemingly joking manner about something that obviously they had not agreed on or connected on. And it was almost like that person was trying to like bully their significant other into being on their side of the conversation. Also, raise your hand on how often that actually works. Usually the person might acquiesce in person and then probably give their significant other the silent treatment the rest of the night for putting them on blast. So when I have something angry that I need to talk to Philippe, or to need to talk out about Philippe with someone else, I always choose someone that I know loves us, loves our relationship, whether it's a good friend of mine. If I really need to like talk about Philippe and understand him better, I might talk to his mom or his brother, but someone who I know loves him and loves us and loves me and has our best intentions at heart. As a side note, I'm not a huge fan or a believer of keeping all of your relationship stuff private. I've never seen that go well unless there's some kind of therapist involved. I think there's a difference between privacy and secrecy. So just a note on that. And then the flip side, I always say nice things. Even friends will try to when they come in, they try to make fun of Philippe or say silly things. They want me to jump on board. Very rarely do I jump on board because Philippe and I are the team, always. And so you won't catch me really jumping on the bandwagon to make fun of my husband, but you will catch me telling you how my husband's built like a model, how he fills out a suit better than Ryan Gosling, how much his dancing turns me on, how kind he is. I could go on forever. And I feel like you don't really hear people say nice things about their husbands enough. And a bonus round is that I definitely say them to him, and I say them to people who will say it, who I know will say it to him. I'll say it when he's earshot. I'm just always flirting with my husband. So those are 4 of the things that I do, that I take consistent intention for me to check myself. I do the work to make our relationship work because I'm the only thing I can control. So when I put in the work, it works 2 ways. I know my husband puts in a lot of the work, but I can only speak for myself. So let me know, what can you do to strengthen your relationship through self-awareness? So before I let you go, a couple of announcements on how you can work with me. Ooh, make sure we're on time. Oh, perfectly on time. So first and foremost, my course, Get Out of Your Own Way in 8 Weeks, Learn to Live Life on Your Own Terms, starts March 10th. and enrollment is open. So book a free discovery call to see if it's the right fit for you through the link. And I'm only taking 10 people. It's going to be small group workshops. You're going to work with me individually. You'll work in small groups. I'll have 2 cohorts of 5. And then we'll have one-on-one coaching as well. So I think it's going to be great. Whatever, we're going to dive into whatever freedom looks like for you, whatever that thing that you know you want to do is. I'm going to get you over that hump, and we're going to set you up for the exciting life that you want. Number 2, my March free online webinar is on values and how you can identify your own. So the date's to be determined, but just pay attention. If you missed the last one, Better Late Than Never 2020 Vision Workshop, it's also on the link. It's the same link. It'll show you multiple links. So you can go and you can download the live stream and the worksheet to go with that. And that's it. No. I also have workshops, if you're not following me, at Redefining Franny on Instagram. And yes, that link will have all that information as well. Thank you so much. Have a great week or rest of your day, or whatever time that you're watching this. Thanks so much for tuning in.